Man. Okay. So maybe real quick, we can just go around and introduce ourselves. So we can have a conversation. I'll go last, but mine's going to take longer. Nice to meet you.
I'm Jack, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Alex. I'm a junior, and I also do a safe bet. So if you're interested in any of that,
Jason.
I'm Matt, and I work at a couple of public schools. Yeah, hello. I'm Colin, and that's
come on in.
Hi.
Hey,
I'm the only girl.
don't worry about it.
yeah.
Only for like a couple minutes.
Yeah. So we were, not to put you on the spot, but we were just doing introductions.
Oh.
And you missed everybody else's, so I guess we won't make you do yours. Are you sure?
Yeah. Okay. What do you want me to say?
Who you are, can you be there? Oh, anybody else?
I'm Melissa. I'm a junior.
So mine, and I'll try to keep this shortish. I always think it's helpful to know like who's talking to you. So my name is Jonathan Grove. I work at POU actually. If I didn't do too much. But I've only been there a couple of years. I didn't go there, so no worries. I'm actually from Virginia originally. Went to George Mason University where I studied PC basketball. It's the only decent school we have. That's all I got. The football team, incidentally, not a team, it's a club at the largest school in the country. Really weird. There's a little trivia for you next time that comes up. But my role at POU is I'm the Megan Violence Program Coordinator. And so that means a lot of different things actually. But one of the things that I do is I do presentations with classrooms, with our athletic teams, with our ROTC program. It's kind of all kinds of different people from around campus. And I also advise and sort of support a student group that we have called Men as Partners Promoting Equality MAP. Initially that was called Men Against Violence too, but we decided MAP was better. So that's what I do now. I was actually telling Alex earlier, it's on a regular basis completely shocking to me that I do what I do and I work in the Women's Center at university. The reason I say that is that I have two younger brothers. The older of the two is a cowboy in Montana. Like he is the Marlboro Man. And the other one is, he was a full-time welder and race car driver. And maybe when the Marine Corps to do basically bomb squad, the IE specialist thing like you saw in Underwater. It's kind of what he wants to do. So the fact that I work in a women's center doing this kind of work just is strange. And it's kind of accidental that all that happened. When I went to college, I wanted to be a forensic psychologist. I was going to be a profiler with the FBI. That's where I was headed. So badge and gun makes a lot more sense. Right? Kind of fits the profile. So my sophomore year, apparently you have to have connections to get into the FBI Academy, which was news to me, but so I decided to probably make some connections because clearly I had them. And so I did this internship my sophomore year at the local police department, primarily because the woman that I was working with was personal friends with the guys who started the behavioral analysis unit at Quantico at the academy. No brainer, she has dinner with people that I need to get a job with. Easy. What I didn't know was that this internship was going to be as a legal advocate. So 16 hours a week, I think that semester, I worked with 98% of the time with women by their partner or husband. I think that's very common. And what I was doing was helping them sort of negotiate that legal process. I know it was coming, and prepared for it was coming. And what I was struck by is the reason that I wanted to be a profile is I wanted to, this idea that I could save the world most effectively by taking down the biggest bad human, right? It kind of makes sense, at least initially, that the worst offender and take them out of the equation and things get better quicker. Which is actually not the case. But I learned sort of the hard way because I was working with people who had experienced a tremendous amount of trauma. And all I could do was say, here's how to be prepared when you call it sick. And that just really wasn't helpful at all. So long story short, is that I got really interested in, well, how do I get ahead of this? What does prevention look like? How do we not have these women I'm working with who've been beaten by somebody who promised to love them, right? That never made sense to me. And how do we get ahead of that? So I got interested in prevention. The professor who was helping me with the internship said, I'm teaching this class to violence and gender, and you just have to take it because you're going to love it. And then she told me it was 8 credits, and I was like, I know you, I think it's 10, and that's going to suck. And I'm not so sure about the gender thing. Can we work on this a little? She was like, whatever. Next year, pay it. So I did. It was kind of a leap of faith for me at the time. And we watched, anybody seen the film Tough Guys?
Oh, yeah.
Cats and Cats. It's getting a little, it came out in like 99, so it's getting a little dated. So Jackson really. And I Tough Guys too. We're talking about it. But I saw that for the first time, and I loved it and hated it at the very same time. Because I was the high school football playing, trying to be the man-to-man guy that he talks about in that film. And that part was really challenging for me because I still wanted to be that guy. But I also understood the violence piece of that, and I knew that me and my buddies had experienced violence in locker rooms, sometimes other places. And I heard what he was talking about, and it made a lot of sense to me, but it was challenging. And to make matters more challenging, if you will, we had to do this volunteer component. And the professor said, there's no way you're doing that internship that you did already, so you have to do something doing this. Well, that's all I got. I don't know. And she said, well, there's this guy who volunteers at the Women's Center who is interested in starting a group of men to do this kind of stuff, local connection to church. And she go talk to him. I was like, cool. Did you say Women's Center? Because and I was very afraid at the time. I was like, seriously, you're out of your mind. And it took me 2 weeks to gather the courage, right? This is the tough football playing, I'm going to rip somebody's arm off and beat him to death with a guy. Terrified to go to the Women's Center. It took me 2 weeks to get in there, and it turned out not only was it not the hostile place I thought it was actually the most comfortable place on campus. Because I didn't have to be that guy. I could just be me. Jonathan was perfect. That was good. I didn't have to be anything else. Which is why now I love working with the Women's Center and guys come in because they think, oh, it's going to be scary, and it's really not at all. Because this guy with this is sitting there talking to him and just being normal. So that's the long introduction. Actually, no, that's short. It does seem long. So the reason that I'm here talking to you all is kind of about the same things that were hard for me to kind of get past and that I'm still working on. That there's ever a promised land for us to reach some sort of like amazing social consciousness where we just get it and it works. Because we live in a society that's racist, homophobic, you name it. If there's a way that lives in that we do. And so it's always a constant process of like trying to how to do that, right? Being a better person and helping other people.
Different here, I guess.
That said, there are some very specific reasons that I think men traditionally have not gotten engaged in this sort of response to social justice stuff generally, violence against women specifically. And I think in large part, we actually, we're speaking as men now, men do ourselves a lot of harm in that. At a lot of different levels. So I'll talk about that a little bit, and then hopefully we can talk a little bit about what you all are doing here on your campus. I'm going to take back the night coming up.
You're one of my first.
Oh.
Kick it off.
When I get to lead off the week, which is actually quite an honor. It's impressive. Anyway, talking about like ways that we can actually have an impact on our kids, right, in our communities. These are not generally things that we want to happen to people, so there are specific things we can do about that. And hopefully we can have a lot of discussion around that. And let me also say, for those who joined a little bit late, I've got the camcorder going to take me for mostly training purposes and sort of a video resume, if you will. If anybody at any point wants me to stop that, put it away, whatever, just say that. Just wanted to make sure that. Any questions or comments that you have today, please bring it up. So, back to what I was saying earlier about large numbers of men get involved in a Take Back the Night rally or anything revolving around rape and domestic violence in general? Is it fairly safe to say no? Yeah. Which I think for women, for a long time, who've been doing this stuff, longer than probably all of us have been alive, it's been really frustrating. There's more and more men getting involved, but it's still kind of a trickle, right? It's not. Like, men are about half the population, but there's such a tiny little population of men getting involved in this that it's really huge. And that, I think, again, is problematic for men, and it's also problematic for the cause, if you will, because we've got national statistics are like 1 in 4 women is going to be sexually assaulted in their lifetime, right? 1 in 4. Yeah, in college. Thank you. College women are at a slightly higher risk to be sexually assaulted than women in the general population. And it tends to happen between 16 and 22, which is contributing to college age range. Sad to say, actually. But this population here, actually, your peers on this campus are at a higher likelihood to be assaulted than others on this campus. And that's kind of scary, right? Like 25%, that's a lot. I can easily think of way more than 4 people that I care about deeply and do not want to be permanently traumatized and impacted in that kind of way, you know? And so I don't think it's much of a reach to get to that place where we're like, this is horrific, and why do we allow these kinds of numbers, right? Like I'm always, and I don't have any examples, I wish I did, but I'm always surprised, like when you hear the ad campaigns about like, 1 in 33 people gets this disease or whatever, and people get really excited about that. And I'm like, 1 in 30, whatever number that's way the hell bigger than 4? So what? Right? Like we have 1 in 4 people being sexually assaulted, and that's not even including apartment violence or stalking. Those numbers didn't go up, right? Those things didn't overlap. And so I have to remind myself of how scared I was to even get engaged in that, right? And I think that comes from a couple of different places. Has anybody done the man box activity? No? Yes. Anybody who's seen Tough Guys? So the man box activity, if you will, is if you imagine, I don't have one, but imagine like a giant box. And I add like a circle right in the center. So imagine like a big box with a circle in the middle. So in the box, we put all of the stereotypes, the traits that are considered manly, right? Which are what? Yes. Meat eating, like probably eating trees too, as smashed out force. Yes. Emotionally self-sufficient. Extremely self-sufficient. I'd say unemotional for not crying. Just like devoid of emotion completely. Emotion. Yes. It's rage. Absolutely. Any other emotions? Or just kind of anger and rage?
Because it's the default.
Maybe like this much happiness, but don't go crazy with that, because then, I don't know, you might be falling out of the box, right? What else goes in there? Power. Lots of power. Be an athlete, very physical. probably not going to lead to good relationships, right? Is anybody like a friend who's like, yeah, shut up, sit down? Probably not. What else? They're definitely straight, right? They have lots of sex, but only with women. And then you get out of the box again. Which we'll come to in a second. What else goes on?
I would say a high tolerance for alcohol. In terms of like being able to go out Friday night and have fun and then wake up Saturday morning and be fine.
Material achievement.
Absolutely. Ferrari in the garage, ginormous house.
Head of the household, right?
Yep. Yes. Just think of Super Bowl ads, actually. Remember the Dodge Charger ad?
Oh my, it was not the one of
Yeah.
it's his only time.
Right. I will do your carrier, whatever. I will listen to your mother. I will that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's in his truck.
And then like the James Bond kind of music, and then he's driving the Dodge Charger.
You know, almost you're expected to be a jerk.
Yeah, I'd say almost too like there's like that two-faced expectation. Like you can charm parents, you can charm friends, but like that's not who you're really supposed to be. You know?
And basically, it's certainly around the house. You're responsible. You will make your wife take care of everything. You know, you're supposed to be lazy, read the paper, and drink beer.
Yep. Play some video games, maybe if they're really violent, and then go shoot stuff.
And no table manners. God forbid. Be presentable.
So we're like smart but not educated.
Yeah.
I always find that interesting. Like, be smart, but not too smart, right? Like, it took work in high school, not, like, I could have probably easily had A's and B's, and I specifically wanted C's and B's, because it wasn't okay to be on the football team and get all A's, right? That was not cool in my high school. What else goes in the box?
Gotta have your pros.
Yep.
Gotta have a nice big circle of pros.
The interesting thing about bros too is that that's not a deep connection, right? Like you don't talk about feelings like life. You talk about like the weather, the game, your car,
Yeah.
girls, the date you had, you know, like stuff. It's a really interesting bonding-ish relationship. Yeah. So that circle that I mentioned before, that, and I don't know that anybody necessarily does this circle, I think you might not hear this readily, but I throw in the circle to be all of those pieces that are very basic human traits, right? We all have feelings. We all, you know, when we watch Old Yeller, we cry because it's just a sad damn movie, right? Like that stuff, right here in the center of that, it's not supposed to be in the box, but it is anyway. It's the core of who we are, but we don't let any other people see that, right? Because what are the things that we're called if we step out of the box? Yes. 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 Generally speaking, feminizing, homophobic, pretty much anything that fit into two of those, right? So basically what we're doing is we're setting up this dynamic where there's like the man box, and then there's like the gay woman box that I guess would be the opposite, right? Yeah, pretty much. The interesting thing about the box though is it can, like when we think back to some of those traits, can any one person actually be that? Like, can any human being be that? No. What's that?
I said it doesn't stop you from trying.
Doesn't stop you from trying. Yes, I was trying to win an award trying to do that.
They have awards for it.
Good point, actually. Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, both of my brothers are still trying to win that trophy. And I certainly do. Constantly, probably. I just don't think about it. But you can never be that, right? Like, the example that I use pretty frequently is, I grew up in a very working class area. My dad built houses. I grew up working, construction with him in the summertime. And I had this, I had just seen, or at some point had seen, Total Recall. Remember that? And at the very beginning, there's this giant dude in this ditch who's just, he's a beast. I mean, he makes Arnold look tiny. He's running this jackhammer, right? He's got like his bibs on or whatever. But just like muscles have muscles. Like this guy is huge. And I remember thinking, now that is a man. He's hard at work in a ditch and he's sweaty and he's huge. Look at that guy. That's what I want to be. Except, remember that part about the Ferrari in the garage? I guarantee you that you can't do that running a jackhammer in a ditch. Unless you have money from the lottery or somewhere else, that's not going to work out real well, right? And we all want to have like meaningful relationships with people, but you're never going to have that if you're always constantly emotionally like dead to the rest of the world and maybe yourself, right? Like that person does not exist for real. Like we can try to be, but it's not going to work out well. I'll guarantee you that. In my experience, it leads to really severe depression, right? If you try to kill off your emotional self, you're not going to be a healthy person. That's not going to be a good scene. And then you really are going to drink a lot, which, you know, that whole idea of like being fun the next day, not true. It sucks, which many of you probably already know. It doesn't make it better either. It just like prolongs all that stuff. So, and that's kind of some of the stuff that I was talking about earlier when I was talking about that class and when I first watched Tough Guys. Because I wanted to be in the box. Desperately wanted to be in the box. Because if you were at the center of the box, then people would respect you, right? Like that's how you attain status. That's how you gain value as a man or a culture, right? I mean, in high school, my high school had maybe, it was like 106 in my graduating class. So like 50 guys maybe in my class. And on a daily basis, I knew exactly where I was in the rankings. Football season, I was a lot higher. Tennis season, not so much. If it was off season, who knew, right? And every day I knew how I'd either risen or fallen in the rankings. And if I wasn't trying to be in the center of the box, then I was definitely falling, right? And men are supposed to lead the way and do all those kinds of things, so you definitely don't want that to happen. So that sets up an interesting dynamic, right? That's an interesting landscape to start with. And then, and I don't think this has changed, but what did you, the guys in the room, what did you guys hear growing up about sexual violence, stalking, domestic violence, any of those kinds of things?
For me, it was a very strange experience. I grew up in a liberal household in San Fernando Valley in LA. So I have very little direct relationship to anything. Like the idea on a personal level of being violent towards anybody is very important. So I always find it kind of hard to connect with it. I think, you know, my dad is not at all manly. I mean, really the only thing that makes him manly is he works like a dog. I mean, even after that, like, he works so much, I didn't really have a particularly strong male figure in my household. So the idea of man just seems very strange. But by the same token, I consider myself, after I was a man, actually, in the very moment I decided that I was sitting on the toilet, actually. I think it was as good a time as any.
My messages were just like, don't do it.
Mine was very similar to Alex's, but my dad is very much this man. In a lot of ways, he's overcome some of the most tasteful aspects of him, but he's very much this man. And he was couched in terms of only a coward in school. So,
It plays on a lot of that other stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. But the message is still the same. Don't. Right. The no means no. It's one that I really remember. So, anybody hear anything vastly different from that? What I heard was the same stuff. No means no. Don't fill in the blank. Whatever it happened to be that week. And that was kind of my response, was thanks, because I'm not going to do it. Like, and statistically, we know the vast majority of men are not out there perpetrating. They're not. The numbers, frankly, would be way higher if it was. You look at sexual violence, it was like 2006, I ran the numbers a few years ago just to kind of see what it worked out to, and it's about 5% of the male population perpetrates sexual violence.
How does that relate to
question because it's about 25%, right? So on average, then just simple math, 5 times each, right? And the research shows it's about 6 or 7 times on average because some are a little bit better than others, unfortunately. There's a researcher, David Leasack, has done some amazing stuff on they term the undetected rapist, which actually we can talk about quite a bit more later. But basically, they're perpetrators generally don't want to get caught, right? Because then they wouldn't be able to do the things that they want to do. They generally have a reduced level of empathy, which makes sense because you would have to do that to somebody, right? Somebody's crying and screaming in fear and you're causing it, you're probably not a nice person, right? At the very least. And so there's sort of a profile of the undetected rapist, which he's actually got a really short video that's awesome. But it's kind of the creepy, skeezy guy that is always feeding drinks to somebody at a party and always trying to get in somebody's pants. Everybody kind of knows that, don't leave your friends alone with that guy because he's not, you know what I'm talking about? We all kind of know that we don't have really good language for it, but that's the kind of person we're talking about. And they, on average, looks like they perpetrate about 6 or 7 times on average. And again, that's never. Sure.
I know a lot of recent social media so they don't really see any of that connects with this because it's easier kind of.
Yep. So about 85% of assaults, they know each other on a first name basis.
Okay, first.
Yes. So it's called an acquaintance assault or acquaintance rape. That could just be somebody from class. If you're at a party, because what we tell women in our culture is if you're at a party, you should have mace, you should not be drinking, you should about 1 billion things, right? And guys, we don't do anything to prevent sexual assault, right? But the things that we tell women to do are directed at what we call the stranger rapist, the guy that's going to jump out of the bushes, right? So if one of our students at PLU is at a party off campus and they're trying to get back to campus, they're much more likely to walk back with somebody that they may have a class with, right, rather than just some stranger. Because strangers are dangerous. Unfortunately, strangers are dangerous 15% of the time statistically. 85% of the time, it's probably going to be out of class. And that's probably why he's asking you to walk back. Because he's probably been trying to get you drunk all night long, right? So you need that walk. That's, unfortunately, the sketchy part of all of this. And so they probably do know each other on a personal basis, but it's not very likely to be like their best friend. Because if you're best friends with somebody, then you probably care about them and have some empathy, and you're not likely to assault them. The problem, I think, with those messages that we were talking about earlier, the no means no, and the don't, fill in the blank, was that if I have almost 15-month-old little boy who's walking now, right? He's not quite running, but if he's, I think he's about to take off running, right? And so I say, don't run. Then I and everybody, or he and everybody at earshot can assume that I think he's about to run, right? So if I, as an educator, tell young men, don't rape, right? What can we all safely assume about my expectations about young men?
It's a natural tendency.
Right. If I don't tell them not to rape, then they're going to do it, right? And that's not what people mean, I don't think. And that's what I heard, and I bet that's probably what a lot of you all heard, right? And that doesn't feel good. That's like almost the same as saying, "You're a rapist, I know it," right? Nobody wants to be told they're a bad person. So it's kind of a logical expectation that the response is going to be like, "Screw you, are you done?" Right? You know what I do that in high school? This guy, right here. It's like, are we done yet? Because I got stuff to do. I brush my teeth. I don't know. I just got to get out of here. I think that's a perfectly legitimate response, frankly. It sucks, but it's legitimate. The other piece is that while we're telling men that they're bad people, or at least that's what they're hearing, we're also not telling them how to help, right? So I was in college, and I had one friend tell me about how she was assaulted when she was a kid, and the other friend who this is in the space of like a week, maybe 10 days, told me that she was assaulted against my door, like 5 minutes after it happened. What was I gonna do with that? Nobody ever told me jack about how to deal with that situation. What I went to is the I'm gonna go kill somebody thing, right? Because a lot of guys are like, that's what I do. I protect, I take care. So I was like, I've got a roommate, I've got a baseball bat, I'm gonna find this guy, and I'm gonna make him a bloody pile of stuff, right? Like that was my response. To which she started crying harder. It's like, that's all I got. Please, come on. Like, that's what I know to do, and it's making it worse. Seriously? And what she needed was somebody to talk to. She needed me to listen and believe her and those kinds of things. Which, being the unemotional, or trying to be the unemotional, detached, like strong silent type, that's not in the script, right? So, as a society, we have traditionally made men feel blamed, and we haven't told them how to help. But we've just been like, in effect, you're probably going to be a rapist, and I don't need your help. This is a women's issue. Right? So is it surprising that overwhelmingly women are engaged in this stuff? And like talking about it, raising awareness, prevention, all of that? I don't think it is at all. I think it's totally expected, right? I mean, I never had guys come to my campus, come to my classes, nothing talk about this stuff. Like how they were just like me and how it mattered to them because it was always a women's issue, right? And I think that's largely what we have in our culture. The problem with that is, obviously, the vast majority of men care for children, which overwhelmingly are, when men are assaulted, it's overwhelmingly as children. And women often are assaulted as children. The number's a lot higher than young adults. But there are women and children that are paying the price for it, right? Lots. I mean, even if you just look at the 1 in 4 statistic, that's a pile of people, right? And that's a tremendous amount of trauma. And I guarantee you statistically, you know somebody, whether they've talked to you about it or not, you know somebody statistically speaking who's been impacted by this, right? And we all do. Like, not just you all, we all do. So if like the overwhelming majority of half the population is not talking about it and making them feel safe to talk to them about it, the reason that we don't know is because they're not telling us. And they don't feel safe to tell us. And that's not the kind of friend that we want to be, right? None of us. We care deeply about the people that we're friends with and our family and people like that. And I assume most people want to be there to support them and help them, right? Not let them suffer in silence, because most survivors do. They don't report it, they don't do anything, they don't reach out, they don't get the help that they need. And I don't think that's what anybody wants, right? I'm going to shift gears a little bit and ask you a little bit about your campus, because I just don't know. But who are the people, or maybe the populations on this campus that are the least likely to engage with this stuff, or who not support?
The Greek community.
The entire Greek community, or like sororities or frats? Or?
I'm with for a single guy. And like a lot of them feel like I knew that it's wrong when it shouldn't happen. But I guess just because of the way the culture is, like especially in the Greek system, it's not really socially accepted to be so proactive.
I think that's society-wide. We're not alone in that, but yeah. Who else on your campus is like furthest away?
From my experience, I don't really feel like it's much different than most of any population. I think, very stereotypically, it tends to be the Greek community, the athletic community. But I mean, I know both here and other places, also different backgrounds, who have been victims or been perpetrators. So I don't know that it's really that much different.
Any other groups that you feel like are?
A lot of the younger people, less than
I hesitate to say this, but the people that frustrate me the most are I'm such a social justice activist that I totally support you, but I don't really, man, I'm trying to remember, I got this one email, I'm trying to remember what was in the email. It was not just like, I don't have the time, but basically this really is my issue. I've got a lot of other issues that I'm taking care of. It's like, I get that there are a lot of issues to work on, but let's work on them, right? And this is a whole other talk, but they're all very connected. There's a lot of similarity. Anyway, so I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the ways to address some of those groups and get them involved, not to say that there's some sort of like magical answer for it, because there was, I'd be much better off, and probably not here, frankly. Be like, I'm skiing, on vacation permanently. I found the answer. It would be fixed. I'd get lots of money from somewhere. Yes, I would write a book, go on tour, make a movie out of it, and then retire. Next week. I think a common theme is that a lot of those groups that get stereotyped, like the football team, or like we have an ROTC program, they get stereotyped as people who don't care, and so we don't ask them, right? So we're not even giving them the opportunity to say it's not anything I care about. We're just not even going to ask them. Which, there may be some truth to them saying, I don't care, get out of my face. But if we understand why they're saying that, then that can also be helpful, right? That whole piece about like, what do we as men, what do we hear growing up about this stuff? That's my lead in with ROTC, right? Because it's overwhelmingly male. We're a handful in that group. With the football team, it's the same thing, right? So what is your experience and how does that keep you apart? But I'm still going to ask. In fact, the way that I ask is that I play on that whole bandbox thing, offer a challenge, right? So like, I know that you care about people and you love them. And I'm going to get you very emotionally charged right now because just think about the pain that this is going to cause that person that you're thinking of right now that you love very much, right? So I'm going to challenge you next week to go out tomorrow, today, to go out and do something. Change the culture that we live in right now so that this doesn't happen to one more person right now, right? If you approach them that way, then you're planning on all that bandbox stuff, that's sort of the landscape that we work from, and you're asking them to do something which may be the first time they've been asked, right? And you're doing it in an approved way. Does that make sense? And it can actually be pretty effective. Again, it's not like the perfect answer because, again, if it was, I wouldn't be here. But I think one of the first things that we have to do is look at why, or what are our stereotypes about who we're talking to, and what's going to hold us back, right? What about us is going to get in the way? Because we can change that. We can get rid of that. It takes some work, but we can get rid of that. In some cases, it takes a lot of work, which I was reminded of not too long ago. But so let's look at ourselves and what can we do differently to get that message out, to make it something that they can hear. And then how do we package that so that it's something that is something that they want to hear, right? Like who thinks that rape and beating are good things? A couple of perpetrators, but nobody else, right? Everybody thinks that's bad. So how do we package that and create a message that asks the same question and asks them to help and doesn't have all the baggage that goes along with it a lot of times, right? Because if you add like feminism or something like that, it gets really sticky for some of us, 18, 20, a couple years old guys who are terrified of the women's center, right? So how do we do that? Because we all care. We do. We just need a way to talk about it in a way that gets past these barriers. That makes sense? Because it's simple. It really is. There's an awesome prevention program that we don't want to do as much of us doing around the state that I won't name. But, right? I'm not going to name it yet.
Yeah, no, we're not involved.
People know about it.
Yeah.
So I can say it?
Yeah.
No one learned it? Okay, so there's this awesome program called Green Dot, which is ridiculously awesome. And basically the whole point is that red dots are things that people do that are, blame victims for their own assault, right? Which makes no sense because you can't, if rape is sex without consent, then you can't rape yourself, right? Because that would be consent. Anybody follow me? I know that's been a while, I'm sorry. That one just doesn't make sense to me. But I'll leave it. Wow, totally lost track. Oh, so red dots are anything that, or victim blaming, any actual assault, things that support that sort of thing. And then green dots then are things that all of us can do to impact that in some positive way, right? Because in some ways it's very simple that it takes a community to support an assault. You know what I mean? Like at that, and I'm going to throw out the stereotype of the party. At a party you've got like a potential perpetrator and a potential victim, right? And there's like a room full of people in between them. At any point, one person can notice that this person is trying to feed this person drinks and get her drunk. And that's probably not a good thing. If that was my sister, I wouldn't want that happening. All it takes is one person to act on that, but for that person to be assaulted, it takes the entire room to say, it's not my issue. Right? So all it takes is that 1 second in time where we decide to do something as opposed to ignoring it or thinking somebody else is going to take care of it. It's all it takes. That kind of message, I think, is something that is really easy for those harder to reach populations to buy into, right? Like, I'm not asking you to start like a letter writing campaign and march on Washington. All I'm asking you to do is when you see something, that if you swapped out the people, maybe you don't know who that is, maybe if that was your sister or your mother or your friend or whoever, that woman that you think of when you think of the woman that you love the most in the world, if you swap those people out, would you still be okay with what's going on? And if the answer is no, then you need to do something. Because you can't assume that somebody else will, sadly. If all of us looked at the same situation the same way, there would be no perpetration. Or very, very little, right? Because that perpetrator would have to make his way through the entire room, like hurtling people to get there, right? Because suddenly everybody is trying to get in the way instead of just going, dude, whatever, right? Because as it stands, at least on our campus, we're giving them passes. We're basically saying, dude, it's cool, whatever, it ain't my sister, go ahead. That makes sense? Yeah.
I actually had a really awesome experience a couple nights ago. I was out at a party, and there was one guy who just like kept chatting about girls, and he was like really drunk, and it was really uncomfortable, and he was like trying to get away, just like following people, and I had multiple guys come up and look at my friend and be like, hey, that I didn't know, and it was wonderful. I mean, it was so cool, and it was just that like, they were like, we were told to watch out for this guy, and that he's like, being creep, and and they like multiple times, like actively people came over and kind of helped, and it was really awesome. And I never actually experienced that before. That's exactly what you're talking about.
Yes. There are no more perfect examples of that. That's awesome. The really cool thing about that too is I think once we start looking at perpetrators and what they do, right, then we stop looking at victims and why she was wearing that outfit, why she was drinking, why she was at the party in the first place, why she filled in blank, right? Like lots of different things we ask. And I mean, she could be naked, passed out on the table in the middle of the party, and that still never would excuse somebody from touching her, right? There's nothing that she can do to make that okay. So once we stop looking there and start looking at perpetrators and why they're doing what they're doing, and focusing on them, then suddenly everybody is looking at them, right? It makes it much more difficult for them to operate. Because the stereotype, all those college movies like Animal House, it's like the giant party where people get drunk and have sex, right? I promise you that is the perfect camouflage for a perpetrator. That undetected rapist, that's exactly what they do. And they need that atmosphere to work in. So if we all start looking at perpetrators instead of just going, oh, I don't know, it's just like crazy anonymous sex, blah, go for it, right? Because I don't want to be a hot block. Like, we have terms for that, right? That's a problem. If we all stopped being afraid of being a cock block and started looking at perpetrators and supporting victims instead, it'd be a totally different world. Like, we would all be getting involved all the time, and perpetrators would be pissed and frustrated and not perpetrating. And it's really kind of easy. We just have to get past our fears about like, well, it's not manly to do that because I don't want to be a cock block because my bro over here, who I don't actually really even know, we just kind of had a class together and I saw him in the gym once. Like, you know, there's a whole bunch of crap that floats around and we just have to get through it. Just feel like this is better for everyone. So that's kind of my point, obviously, because I've said it a couple of times probably. But what I'm hoping that we can do maybe for the last couple of minutes is talk about just kind of what that would look like. So, again, maybe who are those populations that are harder to reach, that just, or maybe not harder to reach, but just haven't been involved? And what do you think the barriers are? You know, like, what's keeping you all from asking? What's keeping them from getting involved? I will promise you on both sides, it's usually fear of something, right? We're afraid, so we just don't ask. Or they're afraid of coming off in a certain way, so they don't come out to whatever. But those are pretty easy things to talk through, usually. One thing that came up at another university, I was talking to somebody who was there. They were really trying to get some of the group system were involved. There was one fraternity in particular that really was involved and wanted the others to sort of follow suit. And they had a lot of success in talking to the other fraternities about, you know, the stereotypes that we get. Well, this is a really great way to be proactive about those stereotypes. Because people won't put those same sort of stereotypes on you if you're leading Take Back the Night March, whatever. Right? Like if you're doing men's, like walk on your shoes that they do every year downtown, if you're like leading the charge, then it's kind of hard to say, you know what, those are a bunch of rapists. Like really? Maybe it's more really camouflage. Well, and that could be for one or two, and we have to be careful about that. But it really shifts the dynamic, right? Like, and I totally hear what you're saying. But it does shift the dynamic where it's harder to stereotype those groups, which I think is a good selling point for that, right? Like, that was about 90% of how I got into talk to the football team. Was, you know those stereotypes about you guys? Let's change that. Pretty easy. I'll talk to you. You come out and we'll do this. We had this like sort of men's gathering on the side of Take Back the Night to be supportive. And I was like, you know, I challenge you guys to come out and do it with me. And a couple of them did. And people were like, whoa, right? That's good for them too. It's a win-win for everybody. So,
Do you think, well, I mean,
yeah.
do you think that I really see as a big block? I mean, I'm not too big. It's convincing to come to things like this. But I mean, even, you know, when I talk to my friends about it, depending on the context, like sometimes like it's hard not to end up being on the defensive. Things start to get emotional and kind of believe that, okay, well, this is a problem, and let's actually see how we can make this better. And it becomes a very much us versus men versus women. And well, the men, you know, here are these stereotypes. Well, okay, well, not all men, but men have been doing this to us. And I don't know, I think it's also really important to remember that there are men who are assaulted too. There are men who are harassed, and that it is a human problem and not a women's problem. And that, yes, that, you know, it is tragic numbers, that particularly the ratios that happens far more often, but it's an issue in every population.
Yes. I think where that reaction comes from, the passion that comes from the other side of that discussion, is that saying, don't blame me for being a bad person. You know, and that's really kind of where it's coming from. And if we address that, rather than maybe what they're saying, it can be a way of kind of disarming that in some ways.
Well, I mean, like, the way this was presented was actually really, I mean, like the minute I saw it, like, okay, that's something I want to go to. This is, you know, not, well, you know, here, let's focus on the problem. Okay, let's focus on the solution. This is something that I can go and, you know, like, I've heard the problems, I've heard the statistics. Yes, I'm with you. This is a bad thing. Now what? And I saw this as a way, like, okay, well, this is now what?
I want to provide at least some of that. Because that's been my frustration forever, is that a lot of prevention has been intervention, right? It's taking care of the problem. Well, that's great, but if you never get ahead of the problem, then you're always going to have the same damn problem. And that's not very smart, right? Just making sure you get work.
I want to just bring up another issue too, is that, and this is kind of a question for
can say that for a lot of men, this is a very touchy subject because it's a subject where we are often assumed that it's assumed, well, a common misconception is that women assume that every man is a potential rapist. And when you look at it, I guess, from a physical standpoint, it's true. But it's the idea that it's the idea that men have that they think women think, and it's a very difficult conversation to have, and it has to be very carefully worded because the moment anybody starts getting defensive is the moment the conversation stops being productive.
I agree. It depends on the verbiage. Perpetrator is perfect because I've been to talks like this where it feels like I'm taking a 4 credit course on getting bashing one-on-one. I mean, that doesn't go anywhere. And so it depends on the point of view and how you present it.
I think it's important to keep it gender neutral when we're trying to do prevention. I think it's also important to look at gender issues in, but I think when we deal with prevention, I think it's really important to come out as gender neutral. This is all of our problem, not that.
It's like Matt said, it's a human problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I've been more preached at most of these kind of topics instead of like discussing. It's been more like, here, like feed you this, and like that doesn't really help.
There's usually a little like a few of them.
Spoon feed you some information. It's like, I don't know what language is that for.
Generally, it's kind of surprising, I thought, in that we would all like to say that we're enlightened enough that we would not be instantly defensive if it was a woman trying to engage us. But at the same time, it was a surprise and it's cool to walk in and see this guy was rocking a modest Yahoo style.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of an interesting thing. Like when I think back to the reason that I'm here, it's the professor that I had, social internship in that class, and the biggest area director at the university, right? There were other guys in the school that I helped start, but like one or maybe two that were very kind of helpful in forming the way that I thought about things. I really learned the most from women. And I was probably the last person that you would expect that from, which maybe might work, I don't know. But I think there is something to at least some of the masculinity stuff and some of the discussion around what are those messages men have had. Though I'd be really interested to see how men respond to a woman talking about, what are the messages that you heard? I'm being very frank about that. And I think it's the being very honest about it. That's the piece that's been missing, at least in my experience. Is that people more honest is not quite the word for it, but just not very frank about that conversation. I need your help. That's all people even say. So my friends asked me for help. I was right there. Easy. I don't know that I would actually do it, but I've kind of been toying with this idea like we're going to launch Green Dot in the fall and just make enough t-shirts to give to everybody on our campus and say, I need your help, right? And then talk about Green Dot in the back. Because that's what we do. It could be as simple as just saying, I need your help. I don't know. That'd be expensive though. I don't have a budget for it. I guess we'll just have to wonder. I know we're kind of at the end of our time, and I want to be respectful of your all's time, but if you have any other, you want to talk specifically about, there's this one group that I think, maybe we can message this way. I'm always interested in doing that. If it's of interest to you, I've got a PowerPoint thing that I can give to somebody. That is, it's a workshop that I've been doing at some of the conferences, looking at sales technique and what we can learn about how to message and get people involved who haven't been before, and what we can learn from testing to do that. I feel like I'm repeating myself. But I'd be happy to share that with you as well. That'd be a helpful tool. So. I think we're at the end of our time, but again, I'll say, thank you. Thank you. That's
Thank you
us.
so much, and thanks everybody for coming to the very first event this week.
Speaking of which, when does Take Back There? It's tomorrow at.
It's tonight and tomorrow and Friday. We're having events different events today. So after the at 6, we're having a presentation about sexual violence in the queer community. At 8, we're showing Generation 10, which is about misogyny and media culture, which is a newer one. Jackson County's in it actually, but it's only about an hour. It's a documentary we're showing it here. And Thursday, we're having some issues with the speaker at the moment, but Thursday we have a consent workshop, which should be really great, and the keynote speaker, there's a march and candlelight vigil after. Friday's self-defense class, and then a self-defense panel discussion.
That's a lot.
It is not.
So I guess maybe my final thought is to issue everyone a challenge to get 1 or 2 people wanting to go, especially if they're one of the populations that generally don't. Because it may just be as simple as like being asked to go. You're like, oh, wait, me? Really?
And
So I
we're-
went to Take Back that first time.
Yeah, and we're also doing, we want to do an official green dot training on April 25th, which is a big Sunday. And because April is actually celebrating
You should not be between 4:30 and 6. Because there's a recital. Because I'm putting on a recital. So it should-
Okay, great. Yeah, I think it's going to be in the morning more, so good.
Questions, comments?
I just want to say that I think it's a really valuable thing to. I liked that this was that it was laid on a foundation of examining masculinity, because I think that there are so many traits that are really hammered into us from the get-go, as far as what we're supposed to be and what is admirable and how we become this alpha guy. But I think that really, we all, I would hope, are, one of those messages is that, yeah, it's a coward who assaults a woman, or it's a coward who doesn't understand that no one needs to know. That's a despicable guy. That's something that's pretty universal. But the problem is that then, when somebody close to us is a victim of an assault or an attempted rape or something like that, all of a sudden we have no tools whatsoever to help out. I mean, just earlier this semester, I knew somebody who was a victim, and my first response and my only response for about a day was, we gotta find this guy, and we need to destroy him. Which later I realized does not help at all, but it's the only tool that I've been given. So,
Sucks.
yeah.
I can definitely agree that couching the discussion in terms of real masculinity and what you associate with that is a very excellent strategy, because I think the idea of real dominance and power, the other thing associated with that is where a lot of these problems come from. Like, you can find the problems, and I feel like you can find some solutions too. So looking at it from that angle is good.
One thing I found, when someone's been a victim of something like that, it can get really fascinating. Violence sexually, otherwise, it's more than just someone to talk to. It's someone for them to say everything that they wish they could. So for a lot of people, they have all these things that they wish they could say that they, it's not that they wish they could retaliate, but that,
4:30 to 5:30 with various folks from around the campus community as well as the Tacoma community will be providing information about resources available on campus. So if you do know someone who's been a victim, then there are a lot of different avenues to go about, one of which being a meeting discussion between the perpetrator and the victim who we have expertly facilitated by staff. So.
No, that's happening.
Yeah. Next. If I could just, if you all wouldn't mind just signing in, just so you know who came, we want to send you a little thank you email in the end and probably an assessment to take back with the